But the moment you hang up the phone, that momentum splinters. Over the course of the call, you promised to file an engineering bug, send a SOC 2 compliance report, update the deal stage, and brief the internal solutions team. This timeline maps a standard customer sync. Watch what happens to the post-call block. That massive slice, 72% of a go-to-market professional's week, is consumed by manual data entry and tool switching. To honor the promises made on that call, a rep has to log into Salesforce to update the opportunity, jump to Jira to file the ticket, open Gmail to draft a recap, and switch to Slack to brief the team. By the time they reach the fourth task, the first three are already slipping. A delayed document or a missed engineering ping damages the exact customer trust the call was meant to build. Software architecture currently forces technical experts into the role of manual data routers, treating their brains like API bridges between disconnected databases. The software industry has spent the last decade building APIs for everything, yet native cross-platform execution does not exist. Incumbent platforms like Salesforce or HubSpot have a clear structural disincentive to build it. Their business model relies on being the single source of truth. To protect market share, they lock their users inside a walled garden. Even as they deploy their own native AI agents, those tools are intentionally restricted. A CRM native agent will not write data to a competing platform. It is built to keep the user in the destination app. But the stack has opened up. Over the last 4 quarters, providers have shipped agent-callable APIs, specifically Model Context Protocol and app-to-app structures, making every SaaS environment externally accessible. Taking advantage of those APIs requires a neutral layer. We need an execution engine that sits completely above the walled gardens, indifferent to where the data ultimately lives. True automation means abandoning the all-in-one platform illusion. The stack does the work, and the human provides a single point of approval. Enterprise IT teams are understandably hesitant to let autonomous models write directly to mission-critical databases without oversight. The solution exists in software engineering. Tools like Claude Code use a diff paradigm, submitting planned edits for human review before production. Mindlyft's Navigator applies this exact architecture to a different codebase, reading call transcripts and CRM state instead. After a meeting, the extraction agent scans the customer call to identify every verbal commitment, while pulling live account context from your integrated tools. It takes chaotic, unstructured voice data and immediately translates it into a structured, actionable plan. That plan is routed to a single surface review console. Nothing executes without explicit permission. Treating go-to-market workflows like a codebase allows for deterministic safety. The model handles the heavy lifting, while the human operator retains final authority over every change. Let's look at a complex multi-system requirement using a real account, GovEdge Solutions. This review console shows a 4-step plan drafted after the call. It updates Salesforce with a handoff note, drafts a Gmail follow-up, and posts a Slack notification. High-confidence steps can auto-execute, while anything below the threshold is strictly routed for human review. The rep simply scans the drafted actions, edits any details if needed, and clicks Approve once. That single click triggers the fan-out. The approval fractures into simultaneous API streams, writing the approved data to Salesforce, staging the draft in Gmail, and posting the briefing to Slack. In seconds, the operator has executed a complex architectural update across 4 systems without ever switching tabs or leaving the review surface. For regulated enterprise environments, execution speed is irrelevant without an audit trail. Security teams must know exactly what the model wrote and who approved it. Mandates like the EU AI Act are enforcing strict record-keeping and human oversight obligations for high-risk systems. Mindlyft solves this with a cryptographic audit chain. Every action is mathematically bound to a specific user and timestamp. Using an HMAC SHA-256 signature, every approval, configuration change, and executed API call is signed and added to an append-only ledger. Prior to execution, the payload locks into a verified, unalterable state. If a signature is tampered with, the system simply refuses to fire the action. Because the exact state is logged, every change the agent makes is fully reversible. You can roll back any update with a single click. And when compliance audits arise, this ledger exports cleanly to satisfy offline reviewers for SOC 2 or HIPAA requirements. Trust in this system is derived from the cryptographic engineering that restricts its permissions rather than the raw intelligence of the model. We measure AI productivity incorrectly. We treat it as a tool to make humans 20% faster at typing emails. Look at how Vercel recently restructured their inbound pipeline. They had 10 people handling inbound leads, a team costing well over $1 million a year. They replaced that entire layer with a single agent that costs about $1,000. The friction of manual routing disappeared. Lead data didn't sit in an inbox. It was parsed, categorized, and cleared instantly. Conversion rates actually improved. Leads stopped rotting in a queue overnight, waiting for an operator in the right time zone. Vercel repriced the cost of execution. They automated work that was never core to the human rep's job in the first place. The best go-to-market organizations operate as equal parts revenue generation and research and development. A team of 20 sellers speaks to more customers in a week than any research team does in a quarter. Yet we historically waste that asset by using our sellers as data entry clerks. By letting an agent draft the cross-stack administrative work with calibrated confidence, we remove the friction. But we do not remove the operator. The system relies entirely on their authority. The AI supplies the structural intelligence. The human supplies the definitive yes. Winning teams will systematically automate post-call execution to prioritize human attention for the one thing software cannot do: close the deal.